I'm Roy with Rugged Badger Racing. Today is a great day because we finally have some nice weather. I'm gonna get all the cars out of the garage, finally. So the reason we're doing all these movements is the 2012 Evora is finally able to come down. So let's get this thing off the lift. Let's do first start. It does have a plaque exhaust, which I'm really excited about. I can't wait to fire it up again. All right, so I got the Evora off the lift. It's sitting here. Let's take it for a ride. We're gonna fill it up with gas, and let me tell you a little bit about why I decided to go with an Evora. Not just one, but two. The Evora. So the Evora uses the V6, the 3.5 liter from Toyota. It's the same engine that's in a Sienna, same engine that's in a Camry. They put a tune on it. Maybe they have a different cam. I don't know. But this is a pretty incredible engine for number one. So let's accelerate here. Let's see how quick I can find sport mode. You heard the rev match downshift as well. The transmission is also the same transmission that comes in the Camry, the same automatic transmission. Now you can get a model with sport gears, which my 2011, which is a manual, that has a sport gear. This is actually geared a lot lower, or I'm sorry, a lot higher, and you get way better gas mileage on the freeway. I think it's a difference between like 17 and 23 miles per gallon when you go on a highway cruise. The difference between the sport transmission and then what's in this. But it's pretty incredible what the Lotus engineers were able to do with this thing. Not only the quick shifts, the rev match downshifts, and just how this thing just goes. Now this has a plaque exhaust on it, which is pretty much a straight pipe. I believe you heard that through the exhaust there. But man, this thing is fun. The interior is great. I love the steering wheel. This thing handles better than anything. It's got a little bit of a splitter and a complete flat floor, matched by a little wing in the back as well. So you have aero performance, and you can actually feel that a little bit on the freeway when you're changing lanes as well. It's pretty incredible. It's amazing what they can do. Now, probably the best thing about this car is the brakes. This thing can stop. It has massive rotors on it, and it's relatively lightweight. I think they did a phenomenal job. So, let me tell you why the Evora is a practical car. Now, we actually have a back seat back here, and when I was looking for a new car, I needed something that could fit my kids. The Miata wasn't going to cut it anymore, right? So you need something with a back seat. I want something fun to drive. I had already owned an RX-8, and it is a phenomenal car. I absolutely love it. The problem is, the second I got it, the motor was immediately bad. It needed a new motor. I had a hot start issue, and it was kind of a train wreck mechanically. But man, that thing handled well. I love the motor, but that was off my list. So what does that leave? I'm looking for rear-wheel drive, something that's a manual. It has a back seat, and it's fun. So I have, at the time, a BMW. I could get an FRS or a BRZ. I could get a Hyundai Genesis, which actually, that was one of the top on my list. I was really happy with the interior of the Genesis. Everything integrated, from the infotainment system to the climate control to the dash. Everything was synchronized, the same color, the same brand. Unlike this, where now I have a Sony radio in here, and then obviously the Lotus dash. It's a hodgepodge, nothing integrates. But I was really impressed with the Genesis. Now, going up in price a little bit, I was thinking about the Evora, but when you run the numbers, it's actually more practical to get an Evora because of the depreciation. So the first Evora that I had gotten, God, I just love the sound of that engine. Those downshifts are just amazing. Anyway, so the Evora, when I actually put pen to paper and I calculated what's the cost to own all of those cars, the Evora was the cheapest to own overall. Now that Evora, I've actually had to replace the clutch, and even when you consider that expense, which frankly it wasn't too bad, I still came out way ahead. because I bought that car for $35,000 and it's still worth about that, between $35,000 and $40,000. Now, I liked it so much when this one popped on the market. This is the IPS version, which is the automatic transmission version. When this popped up, I jumped on it. This one was around $40,000. It's a little bit more options, a little bit upgraded. It has a little bit nicer steering wheel. It has cruise control, heated seats, has two-tone here on the seats as well, and I really like it. Now, there are some things wrong with it, just like every Evora, but wow, this thing is a hell of a deal. And one of the reasons is, let me roll down the window here, what they have managed to do, what Lotus has managed to do to a Camry engine and a Camry transmission is simply amazing. Unbelievable. This thing is a trip. Wow, this thing is just so much fun. It has decent power. Now this has, I think, 289 horsepower, a little under 300 horsepower. This transmission is the non-sport, so it's a regular transmission. It actually has the same gear ratios as the Toyota Camry. Now you can get a sport version, which I have in the manual Evora. The problem with that is the gas mileage is pretty horrendous. You get about 17 miles per gallon, where in this you can get something in the low 20s on the freeway. Now I love that on the IPS. So in sport mode, it automatically rev matches my downshifts. Exhaust, which is more or less a straight pipe right after the first set of catalytic converters. So this thing is loud, but to be honest, it's geared so low, when I need to drive through town, I just take it out of sport mode, I take it easy, and it's not too bad. Now, if you are going to drive it on a long trip, it does drone, and that can certainly get to you, but man, this sound right here, it's worth it. And those quick shifts in the middle, it sounds a little bit like a dual clutch transmission. Now, not all the way, but man, it's just beautiful. And for the money, I can't think of a more fun car you can get for $40,000 that looks this good. Now, a Miata's the best car ever made. I think everybody in the world and everybody on the internet would clearly agree with that. But this thing looks a lot better. It's aggressive, but it has some really nice timeless lines to it as well. And it looks like a supercar. For 40 grand. Pretty unbelievable deal. And what's nice about these, I really can't imagine these things ever dropping much in value at all. I mean, one of these would never sell for less than $30,000. So at most, depreciation-wise, you're losing 10 grand. Now, my wife has a 2023 Honda Odyssey. We probably already lost 10 grand on that car. So when you think about it, let's say you have a little bit of money and you want to do something fun for yourself. This is effectively parking money. Now, you do have maintenance, and sure, you have to pay for insurance if you want to drive it, but throw that into the fun money column, and more or less, if you needed the cash, you could always dump one of these things in the low 30s, probably in a couple of days, pretty easily. Now, the market isn't as ubiquitous as it is for some cars, but holding their value, you know, maybe a 911s hold their value better. I can't really think of much else. A Tacoma, maybe. But man, these things are just incredible. So if you're looking for a car, if you need a back seat, if you have a little bit extra money, don't go with the FRS, don't go with the BRZ, probably don't even go with the Supra. I would get an Evora. because it's going to cost less in the long run. It's going to hold its value way more. And frankly, it's a practical choice, even though it doesn't look it.